All right. Hey, She Army. Welcome to the Simply She Podcast Live, episode 71. I'm your host, Crystal Renee, and today we're going to be discussing building a team and recruitment strategies that you can use as a small business owner. Since we're doing this thing live, there's no pause, there's no rewind, and we are unfiltered here on the Simply She Podcast. So, first things first, we want audience participation and questions. So feel free to drop your questions and comments into the chat section, and we will be answering those toward the end of the show. In order for us to be able to see who you are, you do have to allow StreamYard access to your Facebook or YouTube. If not, that's okay. We just won't be able to see your name. But still feel free to drop those questions and comments in the chat. Don't be shy. We would love to hear from you. All right. So, as entrepreneurs, we love to do it all. We love to wear all the hats. But at some point, in order to scale, we're going to have to build a team. And so, what's really the best way to do that? What are some things you need to look out for? What are some tips and tricks to the trade to be able to recruit your dream team? So we're going to find out today, and my guest today has some practical advice to share when it comes to recruitment for your team. So, Daniela De Abreu was born in the beautiful country of Venezuela and left when she was 18 years old. She lived in the USA, where she obtained her bachelor's degree in psychology. Later, she moved to Colombia and received a specialization in human resources management. She currently lives in Lisbon, Portugal, working in the field of HR as a freelancer, and she's also self employed. Welcome, Daniela, to the show.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. So I'm sure the listeners are dying to know. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you got started in business.
Absolutely. Well, you did an amazing summary of my experience, where I was born and where I'm at right now. So thank you for the introduction. To some things to add about that to that would be more of my professional experience, so that people understand some of my credentials and why it is that I have some experience to share with you in your audience today. And basically, I started in the field of human resources in the US, where I worked for 1 year at a staffing agency. And it was amazing because it opened my eyes to the world of staffing, what is needed to recruit and how to find clients. So it was great. It was for about a year, but since I couldn't stay in the US, I came to Portugal. And right now, so for the last 3 years, I've been working as a recruiter, first in IT especially. So I have a lot of experience interviewing people, understanding what their motivations are. That's where I took most of my experience. And then I was at a global bank, also here in Portugal. And there I was an HR advisor. So understanding the needs of the employees, what they needed, how they could understand better the policies of the bank. Completely different from startups for sure. All the processes very aligned, very step by step what it is needed to do. And this year, because of the COVID, so it's COVID has been going on for 1 year, but during that year, I was trying to adapt the still remote work and doing the same thing from home. And this year, I realized that I couldn't take it anymore. I had started my podcast last year, and it was related to human resources topics. So I said this year, well, why not try something new? I start doing things that I really like to do, and helping people with their CVs, preparing them for interviews, helping also companies to have a better work environment, better teams and everything through presentations or workshops. So I decided to leave the bank, and that's how I started my business this year. It's very, very new, but I'm liking it. As you said in the beginning, as entrepreneurs, we do everything. So it's been challenging, but exciting at the same time.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. Just kind of your process, your journey, so far as an entrepreneur. I think people think that, like, I mean, sometimes, yes, there's like this big life changing event where you jump into business. But a lot of times it's just kind of, almost like by osmosis, it happens where we just kind of like, we see ourselves on this trajectory and we're like, this is naturally, I've learned some things and these are the things that I really like to do. Let me just go ahead and do them. So thanks for sharing that. So let's dive right in. So, um, for those people, entrepreneurs, us who know we need to hire someone, what's the first place you think that we should start?
Yes, well, the first thing is that as entrepreneurs, you do need to look at the needs of your business, because many times we think that we need help in a certain area, but in reality, we don't. So the saying that knowledge is power definitely applies here. You need to know exactly where you need to hire someone, because there are many things that you can delay a little bit. Maybe you think that you need someone, I don't know, for marketing. And that's one thing that could wait for a little bit longer because the cost is going to be high, right? So we are not sure, depending on where you are with the budget. You need to really be concerned about what you need. So my recommendation is for people to understand kind of a structure the business, understand your values, your mission very, very clearly, and try to write kind of a job description also. Like once you know exactly who it is that you need in which position exactly, try to write, ask yourself questions. So what are the requirements that I need for this person to have? Certifications or experience, previous experience, attitude matters a lot as well. So for sure, my first recommendation is to go and understand exactly what it is that you need.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was having a conversation with someone in the Simply She community on Instagram about an org chart. So I'm so glad you brought that up, and like what that really looks like for your business, because it's going to look different for everybody. And I think having the org chart, even if you haven't quite like ironed everything out, is helpful because it has you to understand, or helps you to understand where you see your business going and what the structure is going to look like. And I definitely agree, writing down exactly what you need help with. I think that really solidifies it, because you, like you said, you think you need help in one area. When you write down all the tasks, you're like, yeah, this wasn't the position that I was going to post. And so then you can kind of, better determine like who you need and what kind of help you need. So definitely agree with that. So why do you feel like business owners get stuck when it comes to hiring? So like, and when I mean get stuck, I mean like they just don't, they like know they need to hire somebody, but they don't move forward.
Okay. Yeah, that happens a lot. I think there's a lot of fear into, well, who do I hire? How do I do this? So I have, I think 2 or 3 points where analyzing the context, I realized that the first thing is the budget, the cost of it. Because you never know, depending on where you're at, if you're starting very early, probably you don't have a lot of budget or money to spend on a salary or an hourly rate. You don't know. So considering that, so I would say study the numbers, understand clearly, excuse me, sorry, understand clearly like where it is that you can where you can make that expense. Just study that for sure, first of all. And the second thing that I've noticed is the fact that many people get stuck because they're only using one channel. For instance, well, you're only talking to your friends about the fact that you need someone for your team, so that you're using referrals for hiring, and it's maybe you have been talking to all of your network about that and you haven't found a person. The problem there is because you're using only one channel. Mm-hmm. My recommendation is to broaden your search. So there are different ways to do this. Maybe start with the free one. So maybe on social media, make a post where you say, I'm hiring for this. I need this kind of skill set. The other one, if you have some money, then you can jump into some job boards or some recruiter. Maybe you wanted to pay a recruiter because you know someone who is amazing at recruiting the right person. There are different strategies, so don't get stuck in doing it only in one way.
Awesome. And kind of similarly, what are some mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to hiring?
Yes. Well, this is one thing that I read once in one of the books of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he says, hire, take your time to hire. So you can delay the hiring process, but if you need to fire someone, fire them as soon as possible. So the one mistake that I see many entrepreneurs do is that they hire too soon. Again, maybe because what we were discussing in the beginning, maybe they see that this is what they need, and they go ahead and hire, and then it ends up being that no, that was not the position or the person. So really wait until you find the right person at the right moment. That's one of the main issues I see. And then, of course, hiring the wrong person, because, my gosh, you could just spend a lot of time training that person. And then at the end, it's not the right one. You have wasted, in a way, money, time, training, and resources in someone who would not stay. So those two things for sure.
Yep. Sounds about right. But yeah, I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad as well, and so the delay the hiring process, but fire as soon as possible. I think part of that too comes from with that person. If you know you need to get rid of them or terminate, it makes the environment toxic. So, and that really could kind of destroy the trajectory of your whole business when you have an individual who like really isn't on board with your mission and vision. So, I agree with that as well. Okay, so what are some recruitment strategies that you think everyone should learn or implement?
Well, the first one is to know, as I said, but I need to reinforce it again and again, for the person, the entrepreneur, the owner of this business, to know the values and objectives of the company, because that's the foundation of your business. So understanding that. Then looking for candidates who are very tireless and creative problem solvers. You want like a generalist in your hiring process. You really want to think of someone who is going to be getting out of their way to solve issues, to be in a very environment with a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty, because as we can see, the world is like that, and you're going to have that in business for sure. Another strategy is for entrepreneurs to do group interviews, if you can. Of course, if you have one candidate a month, don't wait to have 3 or 4 2 months, because the people are going to, find other jobs. But if you have a good amount of people who interview, try to do that, because that way you can see their reactions when they interact with others. Ideally here, you would have 2 interviewers. So maybe ask a friend or your family member, whoever, to be on the side, taking notes, taking a closer look to their body language and their reaction when other people answer and stuff. And you can be the one engaging in the conversation and asking the questions. So that's a really important strategy I wanted to share. And I was looking for some interviews that would be very useful for your audience if they want to interview and that they already have some candidates. So I'm going to read some of them. It's important to, if they want to take notes or ask questions about these, because in the questions, you're going to get as much information as you can. So this is also from an article from Harvard Business School. And these people are studying what entrepreneurs really are good at. So you want people that are like you, an entrepreneur, right? So mainly look for people who are comfortable with risk. And in the answers, so we don't need to look at the answers as right or wrong, just as their answers is specifying or talking about the value that they put into exploration, learning new things, and the willingness to take risks. One of these questions is, which do you prefer most, anxiety or frustration? And asking them why. Another question is, are you willing to get into trouble in order to make something important happen? So you see these very open questions, like there is a lot that will come from there. And you want to understand more their personality when they are, answering these questions. They are very, very interesting. Other ones, when you want to look for people who need to own products, and people who are more, take more initiatives. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is to ask things like, what do you take pride in? That will tell you a lot about what they value. And also, you could ask, what causes new ventures to fail more often? A lack of leadership or a lack of collaboration? And understanding how they take ownership in what they have done in the past in different projects. These are very, very interesting questions.
Yeah, I definitely like those questions because it really does give you insight into someone's personality and how they might work well or not so well with you. So I think that those are really good questions. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. If not, you can definitely catch the replay of this episode 71. And you guys will be able to jot down those questions if you did not when Daniela was talking. But I really like those. So that's given, me definitely a lot of insight into some tips and some strategies that we can use to hire. So tell us a little bit more about what it looks like to work with you. So if someone's coming to you for services in some way or to help them recruit, what does that process look like?
Yes. Well, for me, I believe that one doesn't fit all. Even though as humans we do like to, this is the standard process, let's do all the same way. With me, you will find a very holistic, kind of humanistic approach. I'm a very friendly person, so I think that I welcome people very easily. I try to understand the issues, specifically where the issue is. So for instance, when it comes to recruiting, so understanding the business, the values, and then drawing these job descriptions and understanding where the need really is in the structure of the business, what will give them more better outcomes at the end based on their goals. So yes, I think those are mainly my characteristics. I'm also very dedicated, and I think professionalism is one of my key strengths when it comes to business. Throughout my projects and the job I've done, dedicating myself to do it, and being flexible in the process as well.
Awesome. So I know that you talked about your entrepreneurship journey a little bit toward the beginning. What's been the most difficult obstacle that you faced so far?
That's an interesting question because I had to think a lot. Okay, sometimes we like to think about only the good stuff, but of course the challenges. For me, I think mainly the motivation, staying motivated by myself, because before I had never done this. I had never been like a business owner. So before I was working with teams, having a manager, having someone who tell me, okay, where are we at? Keeping track on different things. It was just very different. So now I'm staying motivated, finding ways to still like continue the job when you don't have anybody rooting for you. That's definitely been the obstacle.
Yeah, for sure. I think, for all of us that are entrepreneurs, business owners, sometimes it is difficult to stay motivated, especially if you're going through a rough patch. So, I always tell people, be encouraged because, this is just we all face challenges at different points in our lives. But, definitely as long as we keep going, we'll definitely be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So completely understand. So we've talked a lot about like recruitment strategies and tips. And I know that some people might even be using recruitment sites. I know I use a few. Are there any recruitment sites or agencies that you actually recommend using?
Yes. So the first one I recommend, because I've used it personally for recruitment, would be LinkedIn Recruiter, because there are many different options with LinkedIn. It's such an amazing platform. I love it.
Mhm.
Uh, as a user, you are really not sure what's behind or business. There is another sales navigator. There are many options in LinkedIn. One of recruitment. It's amazing because there you can build your pipeline of candidates. You can post jobs. You can ask questions, like when people are going to apply to the job. You can even add questions that people should answer throughout the application, and then that way you can filter afterwards. Maybe you are open to remote work, and then if you are not open to remote work and someone applied and it's in another country, you already know that that person is not going to be in the like final list of candidates. So they have amazing resources. A few more I want to share is Fiverr, for instance, is good if you have a need for like a specific project. Let's say build a website, so you can find someone who do for only doing that thing. So it's super easy because there are freelancers there, and you can just go and find, compare prices, projects, and so on. That's a good one for those kind of jobs. And then the other ones I have here are broader, maybe for like full time, part time people that you might need in your team. And for these, I recommend Career Builder, Glassdoor, Indeed, Monster, those kind of like general, and you can find and post what you need there.
Awesome. I think I've used most of those.
Uh,
Actually. Yeah, the only ones I haven't used is LinkedIn, so I'm definitely gonna explore that a little bit as a employer and see what features I can learn about there. So you've given me something to need to check out.
nice, nice. Any
Um,
recommendations on the previous one? You have had more success with one or another?
so we for my studio particularly we use Indeed a lot. Have used Career Builder. We actually are getting ready to try ZipRecruiter.
Good
But
one.
I've had success with Career Builder and Indeed. Let me see. I've also had success with posting on social media, actually. So our Facebook and our Instagram pages. So I think it just really depends. You definitely have people that would be in your community that would be a great fit for your brand because they already are following you. They're already in tune with what you're doing. They're following your journey. They want to be a part of it. And so some people they want to make the most impact and they want to join your team. They were waiting for the opportunity. So that's what I found. It's kind of like, no, I really want to help because I really believe in what you're doing. So how can I be a part, even if it's just part time? So I think that's definitely don't underestimate, just because of social media, you don't think there's qualified people that could potentially be a part of your brand. So definitely
That's
want to put that out there.
mine. I've heard that hiring your fans is so rewarding because those are, the community that really want to help. Their attitudes maybe they don't have the skills, but the fact that they are so involved in the mission and with your style and they love what you do, they will be amazing in your team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, so tell us what new projects you're working on.
Right now, I am working on creating more content and like constantly going live on Instagram and Facebook. I am also wanting to expand to a YouTube channel. That way I can have more visibility with the project that I'm doing and on LinkedIn. Because I think LinkedIn is more like professional in the way that it's within my field of HR recruiting and so on. So I am just trying to build those different channels and different contents to spread the word.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you're watching, go ahead and drop your questions and or comments in the chat. While we do that, I'm going to ask Daniela one last question. So, are there any last words or pieces of advice that you'd like to share?
Yes, well, I was thinking that there are some stereotypes for entrepreneurs and what you need for your team. And some of them is that you need a risk taker, someone who loves risk, and not necessarily that's like the stereotype. You do want someone who is comfortable doing it. But I found this one stereotype that was so interesting. And they say like it's not really a stereotype. You do need an entrepreneur like this, and it was an entrepreneur. They say an entrepreneur are natural salespeople, and they said, yeah, this is true. So I found that one super interesting, and for you to understand, like as business owners, to understand what it takes to be persuasive, again asking questions that would help you, like behavioral questions that you can tell that that person has had a challenge on a sale before, how they have faced difficult customers, those things. I thought that it would like it was a good way to approach that stereotype that is not actually a stereotype. And my last word was a quote. Well, it's actually a quote that I found because of Labor Day today in the US. I thought it would be appropriate to add this, and it's that the miracle is not that we do the work, but that we are happy to do it. And it's a quote I found by Mother Teresa, and I thought it is really appropriate for today and for the content of recruiting people, businesses. So,
Absolutely. Love what you do what you love. So awesome. I completely agree. So looks like we don't have any questions at this time. So Daniela, let us know how listeners can get in contact with you if they would like more information. Go ahead and drop your social handles and your website.
yes, absolutely. So I actually have my social media divided into two. Because I speak Spanish, I also have an Instagram account in Spanish. So you can find me in English, Human Capital HR, just one word, and in Spanish, Capital Humano RH, which is the opposite one. And on Facebook also, Human Capital HR, Daniela De Abreu. And on LinkedIn, the same my name. With my name, I have a website also. You can find those on the link tree on Instagram and also on Facebook. And yes, I'll be more than happy to help anyone with their CVs or recruiting for their companies or preparing for interviews, understanding the organizations. This is like human capital, what I love. And the podcast also, both languages as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, guys. So for more information on Daniela and how to contact and connect with her, you can click on the links in the show notes for this episode. This is episode 71. And you can access the show notes at isimplyShe.com/podcast. Again, that's isimplyShe.com/podcast. And if you'd like to join a collective of women dedicated to being empowered and becoming the best version of themselves, join the She Army Facebook community, and the link to do that is also in the show notes. I hope you guys have found what we've shared today to be helpful. And remember, you too can conquer if you slay hard every day. Thanks so much, Daniela, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you for the invitation. Have an amazing
You're welcome. All right, you too.
Take care. Bye.